Hello students. Today's topic is about anesthesia at radiology suite. Generally, it is anesthesia is required for CT, computed tomography, and MRI. When providing care at such situation, anesthesiologist must maintain same high standard of anesthetic care that is provided in the operation theatre. There are certain guidelines, ASA guidelines, for the anesthetic care delivered outside the operating suite. These guidelines are developed in 1994. These are 1994 guidelines for non-operating room anesthetizing locations. These guidelines include: number 1, there should be reliable oxygen source with backup. Second, there should be a suction source. Third, there should be waste gas scavenging. Then, fourth, there should be adequate monitoring equipment to meet the standards for basic anesthetic monitoring. In addition, a self-inflating hand-free resuscitator bag. Fifth, sufficient safe electrical outlets. Sixth, adequate illumination, that is adequate illumination of patient and anesthesia machine with battery powered backup. Seventh, sufficient space for the anesthesia care team. Eighth, an emergency cart with defibrillator, emergency drugs, and other emergency equipments. Ninth, means of reliable two-way communication to the request assistance. 10th, compliance of the facility with all applicable safety and building codes should be there. These are the guidelines. That means important is there should be oxygen source, there should be suction, there should be basic monitoring, there should be umbo bag, then there should be sufficient electrical outlets, there should be adequate illumination, there should be sufficient space for anesthesia care team, and there important is emergency cart with defibrillator, emergency drugs, and emergency equipments. Now we will see about the appropriate monitoring. The ASA has developed and published standards for basic anesthesia monitoring that qualified anesthesia personnel, that is the qualified anesthesia personnel should be present throughout the conduct of course of anesthesia. This is the requirement. Then patient's oxygenation, ventilation, circulation and temperature be continuously evaluated. That means oxygenation, ventilation, circulation and temperature monitoring should be there. Then oxygen concentration of inspired gas should be monitored with the use of low concentration alarm. Then blood oxygenation should be monitored with pulse oximetry. Ventilation should be monitored by observation of the patient. When present, the position of the endotracheal tube must be verified by the observation and by detection of EtCO2. Then next, continuous EtCO2 analysis should be performed. When mechanical ventilation is used, disconnect alarm with audible signal must be present. Then circulation is monitored by continuous display of ECG, electrocardiogram, as well as measurement of arterial blood pressure at minimal interval of 5 minutes. Then temperature monitoring should be there. Temperatures are anticipated or in suspected patients, temperature should be assessed. This is about the monitoring. Then we will see the medications. The anesthesia techniques used in non-operating room anesthetizing locations range from number 1, there is no anesthesia, number 2, there is minimal, moderate or deep sedation and analgesia, or general anesthesia. Medications used to provide sedation and analgesia result in continuum depth of the sedation ranging from anxiolysis to general anesthesia. Sedation or analgesia is defined as the level of anesthesia at which patients are able to tolerate unpleasant procedures through relief of anxiety, discomfort, or pain, at which uncooperative patients are able to tolerate procedures requiring that they not move. The moderate sedation is defined as level of anesthesia at which patient retains purposeful response to the stimulation and doesn't require airway intervention and can maintain adequate ventilation and cardiovascular function. That means in moderate sedation or analgesia, level is such that patient should retain the purposeful response to the stimulation and he doesn't require airway intervention and he can maintain adequate ventilation and circulatory function. Then non-anesthesia personnel may care for the undergoing procedure that require minimal to moderate sedation or analgesia. Deep levels of sedation or general anesthesia or complex underlying patient conditions require presence of trained anesthesia personnel. Most of the procedures conducted in non-operating room anesthetizing locations can be performed under minimal to moderate sedation or analgesia. The combination of sedative and analgesic medications such as benzodiazepines, opioids provide effective moderate sedation. It is recommended that drugs administered individually and doses carefully titrated to achieve desired effect. Patients receiving intravenous sedation or analgesia should have intravenous access maintained throughout the procedure. When oral agents are used, which oral agents? Benzodiazepines, chloral hydrate. Adequate time must be given to allow complete drug uptake before supplementation can be considered. Repeat non-intravenous dosing of sedative or analgesics is specially not recommended because of variability in drug absorption. Combination of benzodiazepines, midazolam, and opioid, remifentanil, have been the mainstay for the intravenous sedation and analgesia. Then we will see about the recovery care. The patient must be medically stable before the transport. Patient must be accompanied to a recovery area by individual providing anesthesia or sedation or analgesia. Monitoring should be there. It should be maintained. Provision for oxygen delivery and monitoring while the patient is on the transport cart may be required. In the recovery area, patient's condition must be documented and continuously assessed. Immediate availability of trained personnel in advanced cardiac life support should be ensured. Patients should not be discharged until they have met the specific discharge criteria. Then we will see about the radiologic suite. The general consideration. Radiologic procedures that may require sedation or analgesia include number of imaging modalities. Which modalities? These modalities include ultrasonography, CT, and MRI, and various interventions that can be directed by imaging modalities. By the imaging modalities, such interventions include percutaneous drain placement, nephrostomy tube placement, percutaneous placement of feeding tubes, placement of intravascular access catheter, thrombolysis, dilatation of stenotic vessels, embolization of tumors, and AV malformations, and many other interventions. Tissue biopsies Tissue biopsy specimens may be obtained under radiological guidance with the techniques. For example, some solid tumors may be treated by guided tube ablation. Painful metastasis may be treated by guided radiofrequency ablation. Now we will see the general consideration. In diagnostic and especially in therapeutic radiological procedures, patient must often remain immobile for the prolonged periods. Most of the procedures may be accompanied with minimal to moderate sedation or analgesia. Cooperative patients may be able to undergo procedures with no or minimal sedation, but children will require sedation at minimum sedation or sedation and analgesia. Now we will see about the radiation safety. A unique hazard in the radiation suit is radiation exposure. The radiation exposure is potentially harmful in terms of the somatic effects during an exposed individual's lifetime, that is production of leukemia, and in terms of genetic injury that results in fetal abnormalities. They are caused by damage to the gonadal cells or developing fetus. In environment of radiology suit, anesthesia personnel must be aware of radiation safety and should take precautions when possible to avoid radiation exposure. Dosimeter should be worn to monitor exposure. The maximum permissible radiation dose for occupationally exposed persons is 50 MSV annually. A lifetime cumulative dose of 10 MSV multiplied by age, and monthly exposure of 0.5 milli-SV for pregnant women. Radiation exposures can be limited by wearing appropriate lead aprons, thyroid shields, using movable leaded glass screens. Now we will see about the iodinated contrast media. The iodinated contrast agents are often used in diagnostic and therapeutic radiological procedures to assist imaging. The soluble contrast agents use iodine. The atomic number of iodine is 53. It is used to absorb the X-rays. Older ionized contrast media were hyperosmolar. They were relatively toxic. Now recent non-ionized contrast media feature is of low osmolality, have improved side effect profile, and are being used with increasing frequency. The adverse reaction to contrast media range from mild to moderate, mild to immediately life-threatening reactions. The cause include direct toxicity or idiosyncratic reactions and allergic reactions, either anaphylactic or anaphylactoid. Predisposing factors include history of bronchospasm, history of allergy or underlying cardiac disease, hypovolemia, hematological disease, renal dysfunction, extremes of age, anxiety, medications such as beta blocker, aspirin, and NSAID. Prompt recognition plus treatment of contrast media reaction is important to prevent the progression of less severe reaction and lessen the impact of severe reactions. The treatment includes symptomatic, for example, oxygen, then bronchodilators to treat the bronchospasm, then severe resistant bronchospasm may require treatment with epinephrine, corticosteroids, and antihistamines are given to symptomatic patients under assumption that the cause is immunologic. Patient who had previous reactions to the contrast media may benefit from pre-treatment with prednisolone. Dose is 50 mg 12 and 2 hours before the procedure of that requiring contrast media, and diphenhydramine 50 mg immediately before the procedure. The protocols should be in place both for treatment and acute contrast media reaction and prophylaxis in patients with a history of such reactions. Then contrast induced nephropathy is a significant complication of radiological procedures. it and it is leading cause of hospital acquired acute renal failure. High osmolality contrast agents are associated with greater nephrotoxicity than low osmolality agents. Most agents of new or worsen renal function related to contrast media are self-limited and it resolves within 2 weeks. Some patients may progress to the point which requires dialysis. Prevention of renal dysfunction related to contrast media has been based on hydration before, during, and after the procedure, use of low osmolality contrast media. The reduction in recent studies demonstrate reduction in contrast media related nephrotoxicity by administration of acetylcysteine or ascorbic acid. Life-threatening lactic acidosis may develop in non-insulin dependent diabetic patients who receive metformin and have pre-existing renal dysfunction if their renal function declines further. Extra care is needed when patients taking metformin receive radiological contrast media. Now we will see about the reactions of iodinated contrast media. These are the three types: mild, severe, and life-threatening. The mild reaction present with nausea, retching, perception of warmth, headache, itchy rash, mild urticaria. In severe, symptoms will be vomitings, rigors, feeling of faint, chest pain, severe urticaria, bronchospasm, abdominal pain, diarrhea, arrhythmia, renal failure. And life-threatening symptoms are glottic edema, bronchospasm, there may be pulmonary edema, there may be life-threatening arrhythmias, cardiac arrest, and seizures, and unconscious may occur. This is reaction to the iodinated contrast media. The treatment we have already discussed. Now we will see anesthesia in radiology suite. The most common anesthesia is minimal to moderate sedation or analgesia is the technique used for most of the patients undergoing these procedures. There is combination of intravenous benzodiazepines, that is midazolam and fentanyl, are sufficient to ensure comfort during the procedures. The propofol, barbiturates, and ketamine is best reserved for the specialist in anesthesia. The children frequently require chloral hydrate orally for the radiological procedures. The dose is 25 to 50 mg per kg for infants younger than 4 months, and dose is 50 mg per kg chloral hydrate for older children. This is about the anesthesia in the radiology suite. Now, CT, computed tomography. CD is commonly used for the diagnostic purposes. For example, to evaluate the status of the neoplastic process in the thorax or abdomen. It has been proved valuable in studies of vascular malformations, tumors. Then CT is occasionally also used for invasive therapeutic procedures instead of fluoroscopy. It is used to visualize drainage of the liver abscess. Contrast media are often used in conjunction with CT to enhance the quality image. If contrast media are to be introduced into gastrointestinal system in patients who are sedated or anesthetized, it is usually done by nasogastric tube. Monitoring interference is not a problem in CT, it is a problem in MRI. With anesthetized patients, care needs to be taken to ensure the side effects of scanning tunnel. They should not occlude or dislodge the breathing circuits if used, or monitoring leads during the procedure. Then exposure to the ionizing radiation that occurs during CT scans is another hazard. Now we will see the hazards. In CT scanning generates potentially harmful ionizing radiation. So it is preferable for the anesthetist to monitor the patient from outside of the scan room. If it is necessary to remain near the patient, he should wear appropriate radiation protection. Then cannula, catheter, drains, endotracheal tubes can be pulled out during the transfers and by movement of the patient through the scanner. Therefore, ask the radiographer how far the table will move and check that the lines and breathing system do not snag other equipments. Then contrast media. Modern intravascular contrast media for the X-ray imaging utilizes highly iodinated non-ionic water-soluble compounds. The commonly used agents are iohexol, Omni-Pac. The concentration equivalent to 300 to 320 iodine per ml are typically used. The volume of the contrast administered may be up to 150 ml. That depends on age, body weight of the patient. Check the timing of the injection with radiographer because some dynamic investigations, aortography, may require contrast to be administered as the scan is occurring. The contrast is viscous, can be difficult to inject through a small cannula or injection ports. The IV iodine containing contrast media occasionally trigger the allergic reactions, which we have already discussed. These agents may cause renal failure in patients who are dehydrated, who have impaired renal function. So ensure adequate hydration in the patients who have been starved for general anesthesia. And we have also already discussed the lactic acidosis can precipitate in the patients taking biguanides, that is metformin. These should be ideally avoided for 48 hours before and after the scan. Thank you.